Good morrow, muchachos, and welcome to the start of our Romeo and Juliet live stream. So, I'm going to be going through Romeo and Juliet. A few points first. It's really good for English literature. You do a controlled assessment on Romeo and Juliet, which will focus on certain parts of it, not all of it, but you need to have, enough knowledge of the whole text overall to be able to respond. So knowing the text is important. Useful for drama as well, I believe. Drama is one of the texts that's studied in drama GCSE, so that'd be quite handy to go through it. Now, show you through my setup first. Down under there is the script. So that's the script I'll be reading. So apologies for the highlighting, I just was messing around with it. And you'll be able to follow it as I go along. To my left is the family trees of the families, because there's two main families, the Montagues and the Capulets, and also there's a little graphic showing who the other characters are, just so that if you're not sure you can match it up. And I've also tried, now this is me trying to be clever here, alright, these are the people from the church or the state, so the priests and different people. I guess a friar who's very important, Lawrence, and then the people who run the country. But now it's turned over to the Capulets. And to try and make it straightforward, the Capulets I've made in yellow, and the Montagues in that sort of orangey reddy colour. And if you look the other way at Romeo here, Romeo has got a little badge that I made which is colour coded. So he's a Montague, and you'll be able to see on the other side that that's the same colour as him. So if you're a visually based learner, then that hopefully will help you a little bit. Why is Romeo there next to me? Just to make me look good looking? No. It's because what I'm going to do is, if you watched Inspector Calls, you'll have seen, got a bit complicated, doesn't it? I was using toilet rolls to represent each character. Drama's a hard one to do when you're reading it, to actually show who's speaking. So what I'm going to do is the icons next to me will change every time a different character speaks. So when Romeo speaks, I'll have a picture of him on the side. When Juliet speaks, picture of her on the side. Okie dokie, let's get cracking. Shakespeare wrote Romeo and Juliet, and he set it in Verona in northern Italy. Had Shakespeare been to Verona? Nobody really knows much about Shakespeare's life, to be honest, apart from the fact that he wrote plays. He was born on a certain date, and he died on a certain date, which was his birthday, actually. He died on his 52nd birthday, I think through candle allergy, if I remember correctly. That may not be true. We also know the date that he married his wife, and the only other definite fact we know about Shakespeare's life is the often quoted fact that in his will he left his wife his second best bed. Everything else is speculation and guesswork about Shakespeare. Did he ever go to Verona? Well, some people speculate, it's all speculation, that he travelled around different countries of Europe. A lot of his plays are set in different parts of Europe, but they all feel very English. So that suggests that maybe he didn't go to a place like Verona, because all the traditions that are seen are English. The names are anglicised often as well. So, I'm not too sure. But anyway, the point is that he chose somewhere like that, Verona, partly because Italy wasn't a country then. It was a number of different small states run by local princes. So city-states, they were called. Verona was run in his story by Prince Aeschylus. And there are two families which are very powerful, the Montagues and the Capulets, and they hate each other's guts. Okay, I was going to say that's enough background. I'm going to read you the prologue, which is also kind of background. Prologues would be done basically because, well, a lot of the audience maybe weren't that bright, might not actually follow what's going on, and so they needed a bit of a hand, and that bit of a hand came in the form of a prologue, where essentially they tell you what's going to happen in the play. It's poetic, it's well written, it's a sonnet, 14-line love poem usually they are, with a strict rhyming scheme, and you'll go into sonnets in a bit more detail later on, because there's another one, which is very, very important. But, yeah, to a great extent, it's Shakespeare showing off his poetic skills, but it's also, to some extent, just explaining to everyone in the audience before it starts what's going to happen roughly, so they can follow it. Because, like I said, some of the audience weren't so educated. So let's have a look at the prologue, which introduces a few ideas. Right now then. So 2 households, both alike in dignity, in fair Verona, where we lay our scene. From ancient grudge break to new mutiny, where civil blood makes civil hands unclean. From forth the fatal loins of these 2 foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers take their life, whose misadventured piteous overthrows do with their death bury their parents' strife. The fearful passage of their death-marked love, and the continuance of their parents' rage, which but their children's end naught could remove, is now the 2 hours' traffic of our stage, the which, if you with patient ears attend, what here shall miss, our toil shall strive to mend. Okay, I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail on the prologue. It's very unlikely to come up, certainly in your GCSE English questions. Although it does set the tone nicely, because it introduces the ideas of love and violence, and those are the 2 key things. And also it introduces the idea that these families absolutely hate each other's guts. So Shakespeare needs to double down on this, doesn't he? And here he goes. First scene, Verona, public place. So imagine like a marketplace or something like that. Yeah, it's very public. We are not going to meet the main characters straight away. The first characters we meet are the least important characters. They're servants. Samson and Gregory, servants of the Capulet family. They're just hanging around. But this scene's really important. This shows just how deep the hatred between these 2 families is, because it's going to turn into a riot. I mean, all right, if 2 people hate each other, they might have a fight. Maybe their families will get involved. This is all fair enough, isn't it? It's pretty extreme, don't you think, though, when the servants are willing to fight. And I mean fight, not just have a bit of a shoving match. Even the people working for these feuding men are willing to fight. Whoa, this is a proper hatred, isn't it, yeah? I mean, do you reckon me, as an employee of St. Joseph's, would I be willing to have a fight with the Darlin teachers? Yes, but that's my problem, isn't it? It's just how I am. Anyway, let's move on. So, scene 1, Samson and Gregory to start off with. Oh yeah, in case I didn't explain before, and when I think about it, I didn't. I will be doing, I will interrupt a lot to explain how things are going. There are some little bits I won't. There's some little bits I'm not so bothered by, because, to be honest with you, you don't necessarily need to know them, but I'll try my best. Okay, so these 2 servants. So, Samson. Gregory, of my word, will not carry coals. No, for then we shall be colliers. I mean, and we being collar, we'll draw. Aye, while you live, draw out your neck out of the collar. I strike quickly being moved, but thou art not quickly moved to strike. Dog of the house of Montague moves me. To move is to stir, and to be valiant is to stand. Therefore, if thou art moved, thou runnest away. Dog of that house shall move me to stand. I'll take the wall of any man or maid of Montagues. Okay, the first bit, banter. I'm not scared. If I see a Montagues, I'll fight him. And then Gregory winding him up, saying, oh yeah, sure you will. You wouldn't do that. You're not brave enough. You'd run away. Samson now changes the tone a bit, and like I say, this straight away introducing the theme of violence. There'll be a lot of violence in the story, and hatred. There's a lot of hatred between these 2 families. So these 2 guys already have introduced that, but they're now going to take it a bit further. And there is a warning on the bottom there that this contains, the play contains sexual imagery and violence. I'm not holding back. Shakespeare wrote it. We're studying Shakespeare. I'm going through it. There's a lot of stuff which is unpleasant. And here is the first bit, where Samson will basically say that he will kill all the Montague men and he will rape all the Montague women. Nice, man. But this is to illustrate just how deep this hatred is. Maybe these are just people employed by the Montagues and Capulets. They're not family members. They're servants. They're right low down. But Samson, who maybe has been a bit of a sort of trying to be a tough guy, show off in front of his mates, is claiming he'd kill all their men and rape all their women. Lovely. So, and he says, take the wall. Take the wall to fight. My back to the wall, I'll fight them off. But take the wall, push the woman to the wall. Ugh. Nice. So Gregory says, that shows thee a weak slave, for the weakest go to the wall. True, and therefore women, being the weaker vessels, are ever thrust to the wall. Therefore I will push Montague's men from the wall, and thrust his maids to the wall. The quarrel is between us, our masters, and us, their men. 'Tis all one. I will show myself a tyrant. When I have fought the men, I will be cruel of the maids, and cut off their heads. The heads of the maids? Aye, the heads of the maids, or their maiden heads. Take it in what sense thou wilt. They must take it in sense that feel it. Me they shall feel while I am able to stand, and 'tis known I am a pretty piece of flesh. Ugh, it was horrible. Ugh. So he will either cut the maids' heads off, he'll either kill them, or he will take their maiden heads, which is an old-fashioned word for their virginity. Yeah? Oh, he's well, like I say, shows just how deep this hatred goes. Yeah. See, there's lots of like wordplay. Gregory keeps taking his words in a different meaning to what he intends and twisting them around, and it's just the two lads messing around. It's interesting that they're able to talk in that sense, because they're servants. They're not speaking in iambic pentameter, which is the rhythm, poetic rhythm that the intelligent main characters will. These are uneducated men, but they're still able to have a bit of wordplay. Shakespeare needs to start well, doesn't he? Anyway, watch out, because the Montagues are coming. Let's see how brave Samson actually is, eh? 'Tis well thou art not fish, for if thou hadst been poor John. Draw thy tool. Here comes to the house of the Montagues. My naked weapon is out. Quarrel, I will back thee. How? Turn thy back and run? Fear me not. No, marry, I fear thee. Let us take the law of our sides. Let them begin. I will frown as I pass by, and let them take it as they list. Nay, as they dare, I'll bite my thumb at them, which is a disgrace to them if they bear it. So, brave old Samson saying that we've got to keep the law on our side, so we'll make them start it. We'll provoke them. We're not starting it, they're starting it. And he says what he's going to do is bite his thumb at them, which is like making a rude gesture now, yeah? Going like this. Yeah, so that then was really insulting and rude. Right? So in come Abraham, who was a Montague servant, and he sees Samson's biting his thumb. Do you bite your thumb at us, sir? I do bite my thumb, sir. Do you bite your thumb at us, sir? He says to Gregory, is the law on our side if I say hi? No. No, sir, I do not bite my thumb at you, sir, but I bite my thumb, sir. Do you quarrel, sir? Quarrel, sir? No, sir. If you do, sir, I am for you. I serve as good a man as you. No better. Well, sir. See better. Here comes one of my master's kinsmen. Yes, better, sir. You lie. Draw if you be men. Gregory, remember thy swashing blow, and they start fighting. This whole sort of, oh, I don't want to start a fight, I might get into trouble. And it all turns round when they spot one of their family coming. One of the Montagues is coming. Oh, now this makes matters different. Now they're thinking, right, one of the big men from our family is here. He'll back us up, and that'll make it, worthwhile for us to show off a little bit. Maybe it'll get broken up once the big guys start getting involved. But anyway, yeah, they're going to start a fight, and they do start fighting. Benvolio arrives now. Good old Benvolio, bless him. He is a friend of Romeo. Okay, he is beg your pardon, he's the cousin of Romeo. So, as you can see on the side there, he's on the Montague side. But he's no idiot. He's a sensible lad. And so when he sees what they're doing, he pulls out his sword and he tries to stop them fighting by beating their swords down. Okay? So he's trying to stop the fight. Part fools, put up your swords. You know not what you do. And he beats down their swords with his sword. Unfortunately, here comes the coolest character in the whole play. Tybalt's. He's not coming up there, he is. Tybalt's a psychopath, despite the excellent felt hat he's wearing there. He is an absolute stone-cold psycho. So, he isn't going to keep the peace at all. In fact, he's going to accuse Benvolio of fighting. You've got your sword out amongst all these servants. How pathetic. Come on, fight a real man. That's his attitude. So Tybalt turns up. Tybalt gets all the good lines in, as I'm telling you. What, art thou drawn? And his sword's out. Amongst these heartless hinds? Turn thee, Benvolio, and look upon thy death. I do but keep the peace. Put up thy sword, or manage it to part these men with me. Yeah, so help me. Either put your sword away, or help me to stop them fighting. And Tybalt comes, oh, look at this now. He's saying, how can you have your sword out and talk of peace? And then listen to what he says next. What? Drawn and talk of peace? I hate the word, as I hate hell, all Montagues, and thee. Have at thee, coward, and they start fighting. Tybalt attacks Benvolio. I hate peace as I hate hell, all Montagues, and thee. Ah, so cool. And this now starts turning into a riot. Yeah? Enter several of both houses, so people from both Montague and Capulet now come charging in, and they join the fray. There's a big riot going on, and then eventually in come the citizens, so it's like the soldiers, to stop them fighting, and the soldiers are shouting, beat them down with the Capulets, down the Montagues, stop it, stop. Yeah. In comes Capulets with his gown, in his gown, not with his gown. He's totally naked, carrying a gown over his arm. No, that's not what's happening. I hope. Oh, by the way, before I go on, remember, ask me questions, talk to me if you want to. Quite quiet out there at the moment, but please do so. Right. So Capulet comes in with Lady Capulet. Capulet is the head of one of these warring families, and Lady Capulet is his wife. So Capulet comes charging in. First thing he does, he wants to join in. He's an old man, but he wants to join in. What noise is this? Give me my long sword, ho! Give me my big sword. He's not calling Lady Capulet a ho. That's just an expression to say, give me stuff. Lady Capulet saying, you're a bit old for this game, son. A crutch. Why call you for a sword? You should have a sword, you should have a crutch, you're an old man. My sword, I say, old Montague has come, and flourishes his blade in spite of me. Montague and Lady Montague come in. The old men have both got their swords out. Montague's there. Oh, thou villain, Capulet, hold me not, let me go. And his wife's holding him back. Thou shalt not stir a foot to seek a foe. Sorry, I just realised I didn't print the page up. In comes the prince. Not Prince, the 80s legend. Now then, like I say, city-state run by a prince. So this guy's in charge. The two families are very important, but he's the boss. So, what's he going to say? He don't like this rioting. So he's going to make a little bit of a speech telling them to behave themselves. Rebellious subjects, enemies to the peace, profaners of this neighbour-stained steel. Are they not here? What ho, you men, you beasts, to quench the fire of your pernicious rage with purple fountains issuing from your veins? Sorry. On pain of torture, from those bloody hands throw your mistempered weapons to the ground, and hear the sentence of your moved prince. So put your swords down, stop being idiots. A graphic description of the purple fountains of blood spurting out from the bodies. This is not just a, shiver around in the pub car park, is it? So he's then going to give his judgment on this, okay? 3 civil brawls bred of an early word by thee, old Capulet and Montague, have thrice disturbed the quiet of our streets, and made Verona's ancient citizens cast by their grave beseeming ornaments to wield old partisans in hands as old, cankered with peace, to part your cankered hate. So this row has 3 times now turned into a riot. because of an argument. That's an interesting choice of words, this, isn't it? This argument is bred of an airy word by the old Capulet and Montague. So he doesn't say who caused it. We never find out who caused it. That's not really important. Shakespeare doesn't want us to pick sides. Although I would say the Capulets are portrayed as a little bit more violent. And we see more of the Capulets, actually. They're a bit more developed than the Montagues. But still, there's a reason for that as well, which is to reflect how men ran society. God is seen as the head of everything. King is seen as the head of the people. And then the families would represent that, where the man is in charge. And they show that through Capulet, how he handles his wife and Juliet. So that's, I think, why they focus more on them. But there's no good guy or bad guy. That would change the nature of the play completely. It's just that these two old men are idiots who keep fighting. So he's now going to give them this big warning. If ever you disturb our streets again, your lives shall pay the forfeit of the peace. For this time, all the rest depart away. You, Capulet, shall go along with me. And Montague, come you this afternoon to know our further pleasure in this case. So I keep forgetting to pull her up. To old Freetown, our common judgment place. Once more, on pain of death, all men depart. So, yeah, next time there's a brawl, the people who started it will pay for it with their lives. I will execute the people who started the brawl. Woo! Okay. You have to be careful. So everyone's gone now, apart from Montague, Lady Montague, and Benvolio. Okay, so now we're going to get an introduction to Romeo. Firstly, Montague wants to know what the hell's going on. Who set this ancient quarrel new abroach? Speak, nephew. Were you by when it began? Here were servants of your adversary, and yours close fighting ere I did approach. I drew to part them, and the instant came the fiery Tybalt with his sword prepared, which as he breathed defiance to my ears, he swung about his head, and cut the winds, who nothing hurt withal, hissed him in scorn. While we were interchanging thrusts and blows, came more and more, and fought on part and part, till the prince came, who parted either part. Kind of feeling this is slightly a sort of retelling of something in order to just make it clearer for those in the audience who aren't maybe following it too well, because it's dropped then. Although again, it continues talking about violence, the feel of violence and danger in this place, and also the sense that Tybalt is violent and he's a psycho. Although, fair play to Benvolio, he does make fun of him, saying he swung his sword over his head and he cut the wind, but he didn't hurt the wind, and the wind hissed at him, laughing at him. Anyway, now we get to the point of this section of the scene. Lady Montague asking, where is Romeo? Saw you him today? Right glad I am he was not at this fray. Madam, an hour before the worshipped sun peered forth the golden window of the east, a troubled mind drove me to walk abroad, where underneath a grove of sycamore that westward rooteth from the city's side, so early walking did I see your son. Towards him I made, but he was ware of me, and stole into the covert of the wood. I, measuring his affections by my own, that most are bruised when they're most alone, pursued my humour not pursuing his, and gladly shunned who gladly fled from me. So I saw Romeo. I was out early this morning. He saw me and he ran off and hid from me in the woods. So I left him to it. Peculiar behaviour, perhaps, for somebody's mates to just see him and then run off. Okay. Montague's going to give us a little bit of an explanation. Many a morning hath he there been seen, with tears augmenting the fresh morning dew, adding to clouds more clouds of his deep sighs. But also soon as the all-cheering sun should in the furthest east begin to draw the shady curtains from Aurora's bed, away from the light steals home my heavy son, and private in his chamber pens himself, shuts up his windows, locks far daylight out, and makes himself an artificial night. Black and portentous must this humour prove, unless good counsel may the cause remove. So basically, he's saying Romeo's an unhappy teenager, bless him. He wanders around at night feeling all sad, and then in the daytime when the sun comes up, he draws his curtains and keeps the light out, even sitting in his dark bedroom, looking at his posters of emo bands and Norwegian death metal on the walls. Poor Romeo. Good Charlotte. So, he's down. Benvolio, my noble uncle. Do you know the cause? Why is he so down? I neither know it, nor can learn of him. Have you importuned him by any means? Both by myself and many other friends, but he his own affection's counsellor is to himself. I will not say how true, but to himself so secret, and so close, so far from sounding and discovery, as is the bud bit with an envious worm, ere he can spread his sweet leaves to the air, or dedicate his beauty to the sun. Could we but learn from whence his sorrows grow, he would as willingly give cure as no. So, no. I've had people asking him, just can't work it out, he won't tell anybody what's wrong, he keeps the secret to himself, but he's so low, we don't know why. We wish fair play, wish I could help him somehow. And then in the background, Romeo comes in. Oh, so Benvolio spots him. See where he comes? So please you, step aside. I'll know his grievance, or be much denied. I'll go and I'll find out. I would, though, thou art so happy by thy stay, to hear true shrift. Come, madam, that's away. Good luck, mate. And he and his wife hurry off. Benvolio approaches the enigmatic Romeo. Good morrow, cousin. Is the day so young? But you struck 9. Ay me, sad hours seem long. Was that my father that went hence so fast? It was. What sadness lengthens Romeo's hours? Not having that which having makes them short. In love, out. Of love, out of her favour, where I am in love. Oh, he's a drip. He is such a drip. Alright, he fancies this girl called Rosaline, which I always think sounds like a bus company from Liverpool, but he fancies this girl. He's never spoken to her. He's never ever spoken to her. She's never spoken to him. He just fancies her from afar. He thinks he's in love and he's moping about, oh, I'm so sad because I'm in love, but she doesn't love me. Oh, God, son, pull yourself together. He's never, like I say, never even spoken to her. He's not really in love, but he tells himself that he is. Okay? This is important because Shakespeare shows he's not really in love by the way that Romeo is acting and talking now. He's a bit of an immature twit. He sort of lives up to this a sort of cliched idea which was around in Elizabethan times of the sort of gentleman lover who would always do things correctly and courteously, and how here he is pining for his deep love who's never even spoken to, doesn't know that girl, but it's this tragic romantic lover. He's fitting into a stereotype which was sort of, if you fancy some deep research, it was sort of inspired by the Roman poet Petrarch, who used to write up all these sort of spurned lover stories. But it's pathetic. He doesn't love her really. He just lusts after her, doesn't he? Let's be honest. He doesn't really know what love is. So yeah, he's there making a fool of himself. And Benvolio's trying to get this any more info out of him. Alas, that love, beg your pardon, Benvolio, but so gentle in his view, should be so tyrannous and rough in proof. Alas, that love whose view is muffled still, should without eyes see pathways to his will. Where shall we dine, oh me? What fray was here? Suddenly notices there's been a riot. He's so bothered with himself, he doesn't even notice that there's been a fight. And suddenly he's like, oh, what happened here? Blinking, okay. Yeah, and then off he goes again in his self-indulgent thing. Yet tell me not, for I have heard it all. He has much to do with hate, but more with love. Why then, O brawling love, O loving hate, or anything of nothing first create? He starts really talking rubbish now. Like I said, he's not in love, and he talks a bit like an idiot. So he starts using oxymorons where you put two words together like bittersweet, which are opposites to sum up the emotion you're feeling. Yeah, so it's a complicated emotion, but he does it badly. Saying, oh, love's the same as hate. Hate is bad like this riot, and love is bad because I'm suffering. Ugh. So he does all this brawling love, loving hate, and now he's really going to go for it with some really bad oxymorons. Shakespeare is not losing his mind. He is showing that Romeo is talking nonsense. Yeah, he's not right because he's so in love with a girl who doesn't know him. Oh, heavy lightness, serious vanity, misshapen chaos of well-seeming forms. feather of lead, bright smoke, cold fire, sick health, still waking sleep. That's not what it is. This love feel I that feel no love in this. Do you know what I mean, yeah? Oh, love's like a feather made of lead. It's like smoke that's bright. It's like cold fire. It's like being sick but well. It's like being asleep but awake. Oh, come on, son. And then, dost thou not laugh? And Benvolio's, no, because I rather weep. Good heart at what? Thy good heart oppression. Yeah, I feel sorry for you, mate. Why, such is love's transgression. Griefs of mine own lie heavy in my breast, which thou wilt propagate to have it pressed with more of thine. This love that thou hast shown doth add more grief to too much of mine own. Flame in hell, mate. So he says, oh, well, that's really lovely of you. Now I feel even worse. Your love you're showing me, your kindness is making me feel even worse. Oh, Romeo, get over yourself, son. When he meets Juliet, spoiler alert, it's happening soon, he will actually be in love. He will start speaking beautiful poetry. He will use effective oxymorons. But at the moment he thinks he's in love, but he ain't. And here comes some more rubbish. As he starts his philosophy again about love, even though he's not in love and doesn't know what it is. Love is a smoke raised with the fume of sighs, being purged, a fire sparkling in lovers' eyes, being vexed, a sea nourished with lovers' tears. What is it else? A madness most discreet, a choking gall and a preserving sweet. Farewell, my cuz. Oh yeah, so it's both a poison and a medicine. It's oh. But soft, I'll go along, and if you leave me so, you do me wrong. I have lost myself. I am not here. This is not Romeo. He's some other where. That is actually true, I guess. You know, this isn't the real Romeo. You'll see this later on. He's got more to him than this. Tell me in sadness, who is that you love? What shall I groan and tell thee? Groan? Why no, but sadly, tell me who. Bid a sick man in sadness make his will. Ah, word ill urged to one that is so ill. In sadness, cousin, I do love a woman. Yeah, I ain't so near when I supposed you loved. A right good markman. Oops. She's fair, I love. A right fair mark, fair cause his soonest hit. Yeah, if she's that nice, you know, she's a good person after, and go for her. Well, in that hit you miss, she'll not be hit with Cupid's arrow. She hath Dian's wit, and in strong proof of chastity well armed, from love's weak childish bow, she lives unharmed. She will not stay the siege of loving terms, nor bide the encounter of assailing eyes, nor ope her lap to saint seducing gold. Oh, she is rich in beauty, only poor that when she dies, with beauty dies her store. So he says, this girl I love has got no interest. She will not fall for it. She will not let people chat her up. Yeah, she's got Dian's wit. Diana's the huntress, so she can avoid Cupid's bows. She's not interested. Yeah, when she dies, her beauty dies with her unused sort of thing. Yeah, sexist, perhaps. Then she hath sworn that she will still live chaste. She hath, and in that sparing makes huge waste. For beauty starved with her severity, cuts beauty off from all posterity. She's promised to live a chaste life, which means she'll have no sex, nothing to do with men. So, okay. Sometimes people did that in those days. Take a vow of chastity. It seems a sort of tribute to God almost. Often a father would make his daughter do that as well. Anyway, Romeo's off, saying how wonderful she is. She's too fair, too wise, wisely too fair to merit bliss by making me despair. She hath forsworn to love, and in that vow do I live dead that live to tell it now. Be ruled by me. Forget to think of her. Oh, teach me how I should forget to think. By giving liberty unto thine eyes. Examine other beauties and look around for other girls. Come on, mate. If you can't have her, don't bother. 'Tis the way to cause hers exquisite and question more. These happy mouths that kiss fair ladies' brows, being black but as in mind they hide the fair. He that is strucken blind cannot forget the precious treasure of his eyesight lost. Show me a mistress that is passing fair. What doth her beauty serve but as a note where I may read who passed that passing fair? Farewell. Thou canst not teach me to forget. You know, I've seen her. I can't look at another woman because they will not be as beautiful as her. There is no point in it whatsoever. Yeah? Ask a blind man to forget what he has seen. I'll pay that doctrine, or else die in debt. Else we'll see, mate. Also, I'll get you going. Right now then, I reckon, done half an hour. It's probably enough Shakespeare for one morning, isn't it? We don't overdo it. Yeah, just having a sneaky look at this servant scene. It's a bit too longish. So, my friends, I might be that my sometimes the YouTube just doesn't, for some reason, show up the comments until afterwards. So if you're trying to get in touch, I do apologise. But if you get any questions, once I've signed off, I'll be able to have a look at them and we can talk about them in the morning. And I'll be back at 10 o'clock tomorrow. So, I guess that's pretty much it. Goodbye, my friends.